Well, I know two stories of the way two of my grandparents came over. On my father's side, my great grandfather, he was in Russia, and his last name was Sandalar. So as the story goes, the Russians were impressing Jewish men into the Russian army because the Russians were fighting the Japanese at the turn of the century. So they were going into the Jewish shtetls, the Jewish towns, and they were arresting the men and forcing them into the army. So he changed his name from Sandalar, which means shopkeeper in Yiddish, or in Russian really, but it's really Yiddish, and changed his name and escaped to Germany, where he changed his name to Kramer. So that's why our name is Kramer here in the States. Kramer means shoemaker, so it was like shopkeeper, shoemaker, kind of kept it the same meaning. And he escaped through Germany and got onto a boat in France and made it over. And there was family in the Bronx, and that's where pretty much all of Grandpa's side settled there in the Bronx. So that's the official story. So the unofficial story is that grandfather had two wives in Russia and had to change his name to escape both women and came over here and started a new life. So we apparently have some relatives still in Russia named Sandalar who we don't know. And on my mother's side, my great grandmother was from Austria and my great grandfather was from Russia. This is on the Geyrod side, and they the Zimmerman side. They were Zimmermans, and they met on the boat ride over here. And 9 months after the boat ride, Grandma was born. My grandmother, your great grandmother, the one that you're named after, Florrie. So those are the Zimmermans, and then she married, and that's why that side's name is Geyrod. But they took the names. A lot of people are under the assumption that the people at Ellis Island gave them their names, but that's not true. Most of the immigrants changed their own names. They picked their own names.
Okay,
So they shortened that name.
Yeah, on the like marriage certificate and stuff, it said Garodetsky,
Right.
and not Geyrod.
Right. So they didn't change them at Ellis Island. They weren't changed there. They were still Gorodetsky. But a lot of our family shortened the names to sound more American because they wanted to fit in. They wanted to assimilate here. We had Russian relatives that escaped Russia during the 70s. Again, when they were jailing Jews that were trying to leave, so they actually escaped. Those people escaped through France, and that was their names were Arunchik and Musinka, and they are now Lenny and Mary living in Florida. So those are the stories that I'm rather certain are pretty true. Are pretty close to.